Let's face it, most of us live our lives like we're in a video game. Now you're just waiting for the right time to level up and make everything right. But the best part is you don't even know the cheat. Today we're going to talk about the things in life that no one teaches you. Change everything, and here's the catch. If you don't learn these, it might be as hard to make real changes as it is to fold a fitting sheet. Not going to happen, but don't worry, I'm not here to teach, or I'm not going to sugarcoat the truth. I'm going to tell you some hard ones, plants, and maybe even make you laugh or cry. Let's get started before if your cat jumps on your desk or your coffee goes cold. Let's go. It doesn't always pay off to work hard. Okay, let's start with the one. Hard work doesn't always pay off. That's likely to make some people angry. I know that hard work doesn't always pay off. It's likely to make motivating speakers very angry. But let's be honest, how many of us have worked hard on something only to get nothing in return? It's annoying when someone who seems to have walked into the room gets everything given to them. Let me paint you a picture. Picture this. A few years ago, I had a terrible job in the business world. If someone needs me to stay late, I'll surely do it. I'll also take on extra work and redo the whole talk because someone forgot a due date. I thought for sure. They'll see how valuable I am and give me the job if I just work hard enough. Mine, guess what happened? Nothing. Not even a thank you note or a raise. Please send a thank you email while this guy, let's call him Chad for now, his name was Chad, and he barely did the bare minimum but went up anyway. The ladder shows that Chad's golf games with the boss on Saturday mornings were, it hit me then that hard work was worth more than my blood, sweat, and tears. Being alone isn't the golden ticket we were sold. Life isn't fair, but it's also not when it comes to math problems, hard work always pays off. Sometimes the game is fixed. You should not work too hard. Luck, time, or relationships are more important. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that hard work doesn't pay off. It does. It takes work to grow some seeds, and some of them will become beautiful things. Some will stay hidden in dirt no matter how much water you give them. They say to work smart and hard, and to ask yourself, am I putting my seeds in the right ground? Am I moving toward goals that are in line with what I want out of life? But when I was working that job, I saw that I was using all of my bone for someone else's dream, and I worked hard even after I left, and put that money into projects that were important to me, such as goals. That's when things began to change. The heartfelt work I put into putting together my dream paid off in ways that working for Chad and his golf friends didn't. No way could I have learned that effort isn't just about working harder for other people. You have to work harder for yourself, but here's the really important part. It's okay if your hard work doesn't pay off sometimes. 1 ounce of effort can teach you something. It could show you that you're going in the wrong direction, make you stronger, or you might learn how to walk or how to stand up for yourself if you have grit. Leave when you feel unappreciated. Let me tell you another story. When I first started my side business, I poured long nights, missed parties, late nights, you name it. Everything for a while. There were times when I asked myself, why am I even doing this? What's the point? That was the point. But now that I look back, even those times when I failed were important. Most importantly, they learned that loss isn't the end of the world. Even though hard work doesn't always lead to success, it does lead to growth, and that growth, that's really valuable. Now let's go back to Chad, because I know you're still thinking about him. Chad is rising the business ladder and living his best life, with his clubs in hand, which is fine, because his hard work isn't just about what you get. It's also about who you become. Process every late night, extra effort and failure changes you, and Chad might get the raise, but you're winning something more important: your honor, your self-respect, and your freedom. You'll feel good about yourself knowing you gave it your all. So yeah, hard work doesn't always work out the way you want, but it's never lost. always showing you something new about life, other people, and most importantly about, if it doesn't work out, you could always take up golf. The second person you'll meet on the course is your real time is the real money. Okay, let's talk about something we all waste but can never get back. I know that time is money, but time is much more valuable than that. Time is more important than money because you can't make it. Even so, most of us just throw our time around like it's monopoly money. It doesn't matter at all. Surprise alert. It does matter. Now for the debatable part. You might think you're making good use of your time, but most likely you're wasting a lot of it on things that don't matter. Get in line with what you really want. I learned this the hard way a few years ago. I hated my job for 2 years because it was safe, but I did it anyway. It bought things, paid the bills, and looked good on LinkedIn, but every day I'd stare at numbers in my desk while my soul slowly moved. I kept telling myself to tough it out for a little while longer, but one day I understood that I was giving up hours of my life that I could never get back. Pay that didn't even make me happy, and here's the catch. I thought I was being responsible, but I'm afraid to lose time, try something new, or take a chance. In a strange way, I was spending time by chasing my dreams. Let's get even more so. Think about how you spend your time every day and how many hours you spend on it. Like looking through TikTok or doing things because you have to, because you're too not wanting to say no. And before you say, I don't have time to work on my goals, how long did you spend looking at your ex's Instagram? Last week, here's the harsh truth. Whenever you say yes to something, if you say no to something that does, it doesn't matter. I once spent months I was helping a friend plan her wedding by doing everything from picking flowers to making seating charts. I thought I was being a good friend, but it was really hard, and it wasn't even my dream. I could have worked on my own projects or gone to sleep during that time. The greater lesson is that time isn't just for getting things done, it's also for, are you spending your time on things that make you happy? Are you putting time into relationships that matter? Are you giving yourself time to rest, dream, and just be? Before she died, my grandma told me, when you get to you won't care about how much money you made or what you bought at the end of your life. You'll care about how you spent it. Your time and who you spent it with really hit me hard, because it's true that we act like we have endless time, but we really don't. Part that some people don't like. If you're doing something that doesn't match your ideals, stop and quit. Quit your useless job, end the bad relationship, and skip the party you don't want to go to. Some people will say you're selfish, but that's only because they don't know how valuable your time is and can't get it back. Why waste time trying to make everyone happy? Here's some homework for you to do after the video. Just 5 minutes to write down what you did in the last 24 hours. Then ask yourself, was this worth it? Did it help me get closer to the life I want? If not, it's not worth it. Now is the time to make some changes, because time is more than just money. It's your most important thing, so stop wasting it when you know that. You start to carelessly treat it like the prize it is, and hey, if you've watched this video for a few minutes now, good news, you just made a great purchase. Now go spend the rest of your time wisely, or at least better than Chad from Lesson 1-3. You can't pour from an empty vessel. You can't pour from a cup that is empty. Okay, let's talk about self-care. I know, it's become it sounds like a reason to buy bath bombs and watch a lot of reality TV, but here's the thing, you can't pour from a cup that's not full. If you're rolling your eyes right now, you're right. You've heard this before, but let me hit you with some hard truths. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, but we live in a world that doesn't understand this. That treats stress like a badge of honor and makes people work 80 hours a week. You have a never take a day off attitude and work hard 7 days a week. It's like your body is telling you to remember that it's going to die. I'm going to tell you a story that still makes me cringe a few times. A few years ago, I said yes to everything: extra job, charity, parties, etc. Yes, I thought I would help friends move, babysit, or plan their trips. Being the go-to person made me useful, but it also made me unhappy. I actually passed out in my kitchen while trying to make coffee one day because I was so tired. Think of me lying on the floor with coffee grounds all over me. Ah, I see now I should have taken that nap last week. It was a real and figurative wake-up call. Some people think that self-care is only about bubble baths and yoga, but it's also about, I have limits. And let me tell you, people will guilt you for not breaking them. When you say no, they call you selfish and act like you're the worst person ever, but that's their problem, not yours. When I said no, I thought the end of the world was near. My friends were mad, my boss didn't understand, and I felt awfully bad. But things went well, the world didn't end, and I could finally breathe. I needed to rest and think about things that were important to me. Here's how I see it. You're the cup every time you give someone your time or care. You're pouring from that cup, but what will happen if you never fill it up again? You're not giving anything, and trying to help other people when you're already worn out doesn't make you a good person. Here's the terrible truth. If you don't do it, you become a time bomb. You are the only one who can put yourself first. No one else will. That's why taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. And here's the crazy part. When you start taking care of yourself, it says, I matter too. You actually have more to give when you start setting limits. And giving myself time to rest, I noticed something strange. I was more present. Taking care of yourself makes you more gentle and better able to help others, is the kindest thing you can do. Now let's talk to the doubters. But I don't have time for self-care, you say. Oh really? How much time do I have? How long did you spend yesterday looking through your phone? Self-care doesn't have to be hard, to take a lot of time. It can be as easy as taking 10 minutes. It doesn't matter if you go for a walk, say no to something you don't want to do, or just sit in quiet for 5 minutes. You can't pour from an empty cup, so don't do your best at work or with your family, or even yourself if you're tired, so fill up your cup again. That can mean different things to different people. Remember that people who are mad at you for taking care of yourself don't really. They want what you can do for them and care about you. Really think about that. Take a nap, skip the party, or watch your favorite show all at once. Feel free of guilt, because when your cup is full, no one can stop you. To feel bad about what you did, just say, sorry, not sorry, my cup comes. The first for perfectionism is putting things off. Perfectionism is just another word for putting things off. Take off your mask and let's drop a hot truth bomb. Perfectionism isn't real. Putting things off while dressed as a shiny overachiever. Yeah, I said it all, you. For those of you who are color-coding your plans and writing the same email 15 times, let's talk. Allow me to explain. What you call high standards could just be a sneaky way for you to avoid taking real action. Let me tell you a story. I used to think it was cool to call myself a stickler. Every job, presentation, and everything I did had to be perfect. I would spend hours doing it. Change the styles on a PowerPoint slide, rewrite lines in an email, or people thought I was really committed when I researched a subject so well I could have written a book on it. To be honest, I did too. But here's what I wasn't trying to achieve. It wasn't greatness I was putting off. It was just me dodging fear, putting my work out there, because if it's not out there, no one can judge it. Now here's the critical part. Part of perfectionism isn't about being the best. It's about being afraid of not wanting to fail, being judged, or not being good enough. So instead of we hide behind the idea that something isn't ready yet when we want to start or finish it. I learned the hard way that it will never feel ready. It took me months. working on a personal project that needs to be rewritten, revised, thrown out, and started over. Until a friend told me, "You know the world can't see your wonderful project if it's still in your ideas box." That really hit me hard like a ton of bricks, because she was right. I wasn't making things better. I wanted to avoid the scary thought of letting go and failing, so when I finally hit submit, guess what? It wasn't perfect. People could see the mistakes, gave me comments and even attacked some of it. But here's the catch: none of them. That didn't matter because the world didn't end, and what was more important was that I understood done is better than perfect. Think about how many projects or dreams you have are stuck because you're too busy making them great. How much time do they have? You lost time on small things that no one else noticed. We've all heard this term. Though practice makes perfect, let me give you a better quote. Growth makes. The deep truth is that perfectionism is a thief. It takes away your time, your confidence, and your chances. It makes you think that if you can't do something correctly, you shouldn't do it. But life isn't about being perfect. It's about being there. It's better to try and learn as you go, and don't try to be perfect. No matter how hard you work, there will always be something that you can reach. You could do better, so stop trying to reach this possible level and start trying to reach more. Instead of perfectionism, I made progress when I finally let go of it. I began writing, making art, and putting myself out there without worrying about every little thing. And guess what? People don't care if it's perfect. They care if it's real. That it's out there now is helpful, but I'm not saying you should just put together some half-baked work and call it a day. Work hard, but don't let perfection. If you want to start or finish something, don't let anything stop you. Something wrong with it, or not putting it out at all. So to all my friends, let go of your need to be perfect and hit submit. Share the sloppy draft with everyone. Risk because no one will remember how great something was in the end. They remember you did it, and if someone says something bad about it, just tell them. Perfectionism is putting things off, and I don't have time for that. Take on that thing you've been thinking about too much for your side project. You'll go back to your half-written book and just finish it. Don't worry about fixing it up. No more excuses for not getting things done. Done is better than perfect, and progress is better than putting things off every time. It was the same for your parents. 5. Your parents were also winging it. Okay, let's take off the band-aid. As a child, you were naive, and your parents didn't have it all figured out. People who told you to eat your veggies, do well in school, and get home by 10 p.m. were making it up as they went along. It's true that as kids, we look up to our parents like they're gods, superheroes who know everything, and then you find out how hard life really is, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, they were just winging it. The whole time it's both embarrassing and scary. Let me tell you about the day. I found out this when I was 24 and having a hard time paying my rent. It was Mom in a complete panic who asked Sage for help. You know what she said? You know what? When we were your age, we didn't know what we were doing either. We just hoped for the best. That's how you raised me. You were the best. Think about that when you were 5 years old and your parents told you not to put a fork in the wall plug. When they were giving you old knowledge, they were just trying to keep you living. Teens, and you got in trouble for sneaking out. They weren't trying to ruin your life. They were scared of you, becoming the main character in a true crime show. Now comes the controversial part, finding out your parents were winging it. It makes you face the truth. No one really knows what they're doing. Life doesn't come with a guidebook, so everyone has to figure it out as they go. Your parents were no, except that I used to believe my parents knew everything, but as an adult, I began to see them as people. Fear, dreams, doubts, and flaws. People who have done wrong, had a hard time and didn't always get it right. And that understanding was both scary and freeing at the same time. For real, Picture being given a baby and told, cheers, you're in charge of this tiny person's whole life. Keep it up. That's what being a mom is. It's not magic. Change where all of a sudden you know everything. It's a mix of trial and error and a lot of long nights. People search Google for things like, why is my baby crying at 3 a.m.? But as kids, when we have parents, we expect them to always know everything, never make mistakes, and always be right. Do what's right, but remember that they're human and were being smart about it, as they went along, just like you are now. Here's what your parents really meant. They did what they could with what they had, and maybe they didn't always get it right. Maybe they made big mistakes. Chances are they tried, and if they didn't give you what you needed, it might be because they didn't do it. For me, it was learning that my dad, who had always seemed so tough, unshakable, was under so much stress just to take care of us that he didn't always have the mental strength to do so. Skills to be the kind of dad I wanted, but he loved us in the best ways he knew how. But to me, she was safe. Mom, she said she often felt like she was failing. If you're angry or sad that your parents didn't do everything, this is the place to go. Okay, here's what I want to say. Forgive them, but not for what they did. The same way you are now, and if you're a parent, you know what I mean. Don't be so hard on yourself. Your kids just need you to show up and love them whatever you do. What's interesting is that once you find out your parents were, if you wing it, it's harder to blame them for everything that went wrong in your life. Sorry, no more free things to talk about in therapy. You may need to start being responsible yourself, that your parents were just people like you at the end of the day. Did the best they could with what they knew, and guess what? You did too. Let's go from there. Give them and us a little grace. Now, call your parents or don't do that because limits exist. Instead, thank them for winging it. Okay, 6. No one is going to save you. No one is coming to save you. But that gives you power. Okay, get ready for this one. No one is coming. So you don't have to worry about a prince on a white horse, a miracle job offer, or a magic round. It might sound sad to say, win, it's just you, my friend, but bear with me. This is actually the most inspiring thing you'll ever hear. We watched a lot of rescue stories as kids. This is what rom-coms and even those cheesy, encouraging signs tell us. Thought that something or someone would come along and fix everything. Alert, they're not. I found this out the hard way a few years ago when I got stuck in the difficult way. I would have a psychological crisis every Sunday night at work because I hated my job. I was hoping that God would help me. Maybe my boss would get moved, or someone would just hand me. I was given my dream job right in front of me, but it didn't work out. Here's the truth. No one, not your boss, not anyone else, has to save you. No one but you and your parents. No one but your partner. And once you accept that, you find out that you are the hero of your own story when something amazing happens. The debatable part is that waiting for someone to save you isn't just, it's not realistic, it's passive, and it takes away your power, your choice, and your change, your own life. It's like yelling for someone to plug the hole in your boat while it's sinking. There's a bucket right next to you. I finally gave up waiting for a magical answer and I made the choice to quit that job that was killing me. I had no backup plan or safety net, just me and the shaky faith that I could figure it out. You know what it was like. Every night I cried and ate ramen noodles while lying on the floor of my bathroom. I realized how much control I had over my own life at that moment. Think about this. No one else knows what you want or need. You are the only one who cares about your happiness more than anyone else. That's not being selfish, it's the truth. So why are you waiting for someone else to do it? They try to solve problems they don't fully understand. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't ask for help. Help and advice are important, but there's a big difference between it and expecting someone else to do the work for you. Now that you know no one is coming to save you, here's the deep truth. It makes you take charge of your life, which is where the magic happens. Because when you stop looking for a rescuer, you become one for yourself. At first, it's scary, but another benefit is that it lets you stop being the victim and take the lead. Stop blaming other people or events and start looking for ways to fix things. I get it. It's not as exciting to be responsible than to wait for a knight in shiny armor, but it's much more rewarding. When you have the reins, every win, no matter how small, feels like a hey triumph. Here's something no one tells you about saving yourself. Going it alone means realizing that you are the one who is pushing you to do it. Support, advice, and tools that you find along the way are like guides on your hero's journey. If you need help, it sounds like you're hoping that someone or something will save you, but guess what? They're not coming. That's okay, because you don't need them. You already have everything you need to start making changes. You might be wondering, what if I fail? Here's how I feel when I fail. It's better to try than to wait. At least when you try, you're being honest. Even if you fail, you'll still be going forward. You'll get farther toward your goals if you work toward them, so now is the time to be your own hero. Don't wait. Do it now. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. It won't be perfect, but it will be yours. And hey, when you finally get out of there, take a moment to think about how far you've come. You'll learn something amazing. You didn't need anyone to save you. You've always had it in you. Now go save money, cape or no cape. Good luck with your own life. You've got this. Ending, friends. That's the end of the story. We talked about some hard facts and had a few laughs. People will laugh and maybe even cry a few times if they feel like it. Now that you're paying attention, remember that life isn't about. If you want to keep going, you need to ask the right questions and have the courage to keep going. Lessons like the ones we talked about today aren't meant to hurt you. They're meant to free you. Let go of the need to be perfect, take charge of your own happiness, or forgive your parents for what they did. These truths will help you live a life that is really messy, and 100% now, it's yours. If any of this hits home for you, let me know in the comments which ones. Which of these facts shocked you the most? If you have your own life lesson to share, please do so below. We're all just winging it, for real. Please like this movie. If you want to make sure you never miss another episode of Brutally Honest, join the channel and click that little bell icon. Be wise, trust me, we're just getting started. Now go out there and be It's Your Story, and you're the hero. You have the tools, the grit, and most of all, thanks for hanging out with me today, brave. I'll see you next time. Then keep learning, keep growing, and don't feel bad about being who you are.